It's that time. Time to take a deep dive into the weather here in eastern Ohio and western PA. We call it Weather for Weather Geeks. I'm Eric Wilhelm, of course, 21 News Chief Meteorologist, and if you're new to these videos, in case you're a new viewer of Weather for Weather Geeks, this is my daily opportunity to really take a deep dive into the weather in a way that I can't do on TV. I don't have enough time, so I'm unlimited on time here. Sometimes these videos run a little long. I ask for your patience with these videos, especially when we get into complicated weather situations, but I try not to make them excruciatingly long, especially if the weather is fairly quiet. We're in the middle of a pretty active weather pattern that shows no signs of letting up. We have lots of interesting things to talk about this evening, and I wanted to start with a quick review of temperatures over the last 36 hours. Of course, yesterday ended up being a pretty mild day. We got into the upper 40s. Today was mild at the start. We started in the balmy mid-40s this morning. Saw our highest temperature around midday, and then it's been all downhill ever since. Temperatures have been falling as expected as we've gone through the afternoon. One thing we also noticed today, not only did the temperature decrease, the wind started to pick up, and it was really noticeable out there this afternoon as that colder air started wrapping in from the west. It was accompanied by wind gusts between 30 and 35, even 36 miles per hour at 3 p.m. at the Youngstown Warren Airport. So we've undergone an air mass change, and as that's happened, we've started to see some snowflakes mixing in with some leftover raindrops this evening. Nothing real impressive here, and for the most part, this will be pretty non-impactful as far as the precipitation goes tonight. Pretty easy to pick out low pressure spinning across the eastern end of Lake Erie, and as that low passes east of our latitude, the wind comes back around to the north and west, and you see that colder air wrapping in behind it. The Weather Service has hoisted some winter storm watches for the primary snowbelt of northeast Ohio. That's Geauga, Lake, and Ashtabula County, and it's a winter storm warning from Crawford and Erie County on north and east into southwestern New York, Chautauqua, and Cattaraugus counties in southwestern New York under a winter storm warning. Pretty good lake effect snow setup coming over the next couple of days, but it's going to come in kind of two waves. The kind of the undercard here is tonight. This is a relatively minor lake effect event coming for tonight, both locally and up in the snow belts. Now, there will be more snow up in the snow belts tonight. I'll show you that in a second. But locally, random coatings tonight, pretty non-impactful stuff. Watch for a few isolated slick spots. But again, I'm not expecting much here in our television viewing area. Maybe in the far northwestern corner of Trumbull County up towards Mesopotamia, we see an inch or two. Maybe we get an inch over towards I-79 in Mercer County. But for the most part, in our television viewing area, a lot of Trumbull, Mahoning, Columbiana. We're not looking for much in the way of accumulation for tonight. But then the main event comes tomorrow night. Now, tomorrow during the day, I don't think much happens. It'll be blustery. It'll be cold. Some flurries around. Nothing real impactful as far as snow during the daylight hours tomorrow. But the conditions become much more favorable for lake effect snow tomorrow night and heading into at least the first half of the day Wednesday, particularly in far northeast Ohio, northwestern PA. The Erie area is going to get slammed. Southwest New York up towards Jamestown, Dunkirk, south of Buffalo along I-90. They're going to get just pummeled up there with heavy lake effect snow tomorrow night and heading into the day on Wednesday. The snow will then taper off before Wednesday is through, and we're left with quieter weather for Thursday. Now, this is for the Youngstown Warren Airport in Vienna. Our computer model spread here through Wednesday night, including Tuesday night, Wednesday, and into Wednesday night. As you can see, all these are pretty minor, shown on the models here, but this is just for one location. This is just for Vienna, and I'm expecting amounts to be higher than this as you get north of the airport, and especially out of our TV viewing area up towards I-90. Here's kind of the zoomed out view of the snow map. Now, this does not count tonight. This is kind of for the main lake effect event tomorrow night and heading into the day on Wednesday. A stripe of 12 inches plus is going to be a possibility from far northeastern Geauga County out through the central and north central areas of Ashtabula County, right along I-90, and then as you head up I-79 out of Mercer County and up towards Meadville. In Crawford County, amounts are going to really ramp up there as well. Again, amounts quite a bit lower in our TV viewing area, but even in Mercer County and far northern Trumbull County, in our TV viewing area, with this tomorrow night and Wednesday lake effect, I could see where some places get 3 inches plus out of this, including places such as Mesopotamia and heading across Route 87 over towards the 87 and 7 interchange near Kinsman, and then heading over towards Greenville, down into Mercer as well, Sandy Lake. I can't even rule out 6 inches plus in the far northeastern corner of Mercer County. For the rest of us, if you're watching this from Columbiana County, this is kind of a non-event for a lot of places. Some random coatings, some random slick spots do need to be watched out for. But this will be, no big deal in places such as Lisbon and Hanoverton and Salineville and East Liverpool and Calcutta, Wellsville, heading up towards East Palestine. I think that for the most part, this is kind of a non-event tomorrow night and heading into Wednesday. Mahoning County, an inch to 2 or 3 is going to be a possibility. You know how it goes with lake effect in Mahoning County. We tend to not see very much once you're south of Interstate 80. Just a refresher on why lake effect. It's all about the difference in the air temperature of the air, the temperature of the air, and then the temperature of the water over the Great Lakes, especially for us, Lake Erie. That's important. The wind direction, very important as well. Subtle changes in the wind direction can mean a longer or a shorter fetch over the lake. A shorter fetch over the water means less moisture can be picked up and amounts tend to be lower, but when you get that long fetch out over the open waters, and then the air rises as it hits the land and goes up in elevation, then you can get some pretty hefty lake effect snows. And particularly when you're looking at like a west to northwest wind, Ashtabula County gets slammed, Crawford and Erie County in Pennsylvania gets slammed, and then southwestern New York will really get pummeled when the fetch is real long across the lake. That's when southwest New York really gets it. When the bands are more set up like this, there's less water being, carried over by that air, and so you tend to see lower amounts, even though there can be some intense snow bursts. If the wind is more like a due northerly wind, there's just less water in the way of that air coming south. All right, quick look into the longer range. I do think we are in for a warm-up starting this weekend and perhaps continuing into the very early part of next week. But see all this cold air building across the Rockies? I think that's coming east as we go into the middle of next week. So at the end of this 6 to 10 day outlook, a lot of this cold air is going to be sitting over us. The beginning of the 6 to 10 day outlook, though, is looking pretty mild by early December standards. Wanted to spend just a moment here talking about the longer range. Here's a look at the 5-day chunks off the CFS model as we go deeper into December. One thing that a lot of the modeling is really starting to hone in on is a pattern change around mid-month that may lead us into a milder pattern in the run-up to Christmas. So a cold start to December, again, especially as we get into the middle of next week. But then notice all these oranges, all these warm anomalies start making their way east. That's shown on the CFS model. That's also hinted at on some of the European modeling as well. There's our cold anomalies, but as I get out 2 weeks in time here and towards the 10th, 11th, 12th of December, a lot of this mild stuff out here is going to start coming east. So it's looking like a not very cold pattern for at least a time in mid-December. How long does that pattern last? It's a little too early to say. Now, this is the CFS model forecast for all of December. When you take the month as a whole, it's showing a near to maybe slightly warmer than average month for us locally, a little colder than average in New England, and certainly warmer than average in a lot of the plain states. This is not that far off from where our December forecast was when we did the winter forecast back in early November. I'll have an update on the December forecast and the winter forecast coming up a week from today on December 3rd on 21 News at 6 and 11 and here on Weather for Weather Geeks. Thanks for sticking with me tonight. Full update on the snow forecast, everything else you need to know coming up in a few hours on 21 News at 11 o'clock. See you then.